Hello. All right. We are going to be talking with Margaret Howell today. I am so excited. So let me go ahead and get her in here. Give me just a second. Right. Oops. There we go. All right, let's see if Margaret is able to join us. So this is, here we go. Perfect.
Huh?
Hello. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining me on this call. I have so many questions. I am so excited to just learn about everything that you've, been through, as well as, what you're doing with your practice and that kind of thing. So I just really appreciate you taking the time tonight. So the whole point of these talks that I'm trying to get started is there are so many continuing education options for people that want to learn functional labs. And as you know, I'm a big proponent of learning about different labs. And I think we all get here typically because we had labs done on us and we realized something that we would have never known. And it's really propelled our health journey. And so I'm just trying to kind of open up the conversation, help people figure out what the next best step is for them. And so I'm just excited to talk with you. So let's go ahead and get started by, can you just introduce yourself? Tell me about your background and a little bit about your practice.
Yeah, my name is Margaret, and I grew up in Rochester, New York, the area or outside of it. And I practice-wise, I've been a nurse since 2013, and I did what everybody said you should do first and do med surg and whatnot, and I hated it, and I almost dropped out of being a nurse when I was 2 years in. And then my mom actually encouraged me. She was like, "Why don't you just don't give up yet?" So she said, "Do home care." So I did that, and that worked out really well. Actually, I really liked it. It was one-on-one with people. So that worked out really good for me. And then over 2017, I got bit by a tick. And shortly after that, I got pretty sick. Didn't know why. Didn't really link it to the tick, honestly. At the time, I just thought I was just sick. So long story short, found out it was Lyme and Babesia, Bartonella, and Borrelia. And so I got all three, which is why I was quite sick. And so I just got started treating for that last year, and I cleaned up it was a rough go, but we got there.
Wow.
So in a much better place now. So practice-wise, I run my own business now. As a health coach, I got my health coach certification in 2020 first from IIN. And then it was kind of like a taste. It felt like I wanted more. So someone recommended, my health coach actually recommended IHP to me. So I did that, and so just kind of rocking along there.
Nice. And so you're currently in level 2 of
Yes.
IHP, right? And
Yep.
it's so funny. So my program, Instant HTMA Professional, I call it IHP. And I
Ah,
know I know that that's probably not the smartest thing to do in this world because of integrative. It's integrative health practitioner. Is that right?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's Stephen Cabral's program, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So did you go through you're required to go through level 1 to get
Hmm.
to level 2.
Yeah.
And is level 2 all about labs?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm trying to think.
Pretty
I'm like
much.
halfway through it. I'm also in school for my nurse practitioner, so I had to put that on pause because my brain can only hold so much at one time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far it's been only about the labs, going through each of them in depth and how to analyze them, and then what to do with the client once you get the results back. So
Okay. Do you mind if I ask you some more questions about that
yeah,
program?
yeah.
Okay. Because I'm curious, what are there any labs that he recommends as like the first step or
Yep.
okay, can you walk me through that?
Yeah, he calls it like the big five. Now, I live in New York State,
Mhm.
so unfortunately, New York State's blocked from a lot of random testing for some reason.
Hmm.
So I actually haven't used any of his tests myself, nor do I use them on my clients just because we can't get them.
Yeah.
So the big five, if I remember off the top of my head, it's like the oat and then the hair tissue
Hmm.
nail analysis. And then
Hmm.
there's a few other ones. I think omega-3 is on there too. I honestly don't remember them just because I don't focus on them because it's something I don't use. And I only got through like one or two courses so far with it. I got through
Okay.
like the oat and the hair tissue. So yeah.
So once you become a nurse practitioner in New
Hmm.
York, will you be able to run these functional tests being in New York, or is that still
I don't know. I'm still
okay?
figuring that out. So when I was growing up, we went to a doctor who we just thought he was a smart doctor, but now knowing what I know, he was functional medicine
Oh,
and
wow.
integrative, and he was in Niagara Falls, and he did hair tissue and stuff on me growing up as a kid in my
Mm,
family. So I know it used to be possible at least. I don't know if it still is, but I'm sure there's some sort of way of doing it. I'm not sure,
yeah.
honestly. So I'm still figuring that out, but I'm learning more. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So I guess what is your end goal with all of this education, being in New York State and knowing the limitations?
I think it's just like helping people with Lyme because my experience
Okay.
was that every time I went to go find somebody, when I felt miserable, all my doctors just wanted to put me on anti-anxiety meds and antidepressants because I didn't look happy and I wasn't because I was
Yeah.
hers. And I was just like, well, that's not the root of the issue, though. I kept saying, I was like, something is going on. And I was like, if I felt good, I would be fine. So I don't need an antidepressant. I just need to figure out what's going on. So it went through a lot of people, but I ended up finding a doctor here in Albany, and they were able to do a bunch of different stuff, and they have a system down pat. So I really would
Okay.
like to help people in this area because I just felt like nobody up here, there was like everybody I found that kind of did Lyme didn't really actually understand it. Because I had read like 3 books by the time I got to see people. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh, they don't actually understand it very well. And they were all like $500 a visit. And I was like literally spending ten to $20,000 a year trying to figure this out. So,
Right.
yeah, so that's my end goal really is just more so just like trying to give people an opportunity where they're not going to lose ten to $20,000 each year trying to figure out what's going on with them and just give
Yeah.
them something that's streamlined and well-oiled machine and straightforward and also not dealing with all the things with insurance companies and stuff like that
Hmm.
and the limitations there that they require you to go on, all these other medications before you can actually get something you need.
Oh,
So
wow. I didn't know. I didn't know. I'm not familiar with Lyme at all, to be honest with you. I
yeah,
don't have
not with
any
Lyme in
personal experience with
general.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And just dealing with insurance companies where they like dictate what you're allowed to take and what, yeah,
Yes.
I know.
What test you apparently need or
Yes.
don't need.
Yeah, because apparently they're the ones in charge. Like, doesn't
Yes.
make any sense at all. Oh
Hmm.
my gosh. So, what kinds of tests did they run on you to finally figure out that it was Lyme?
They did blood work.
Okay.
Yeah, just straight up blood work. I was trying to remember, but yeah, they did straight up blood work. But the thing that actually pointed me in the direction of Lyme initially was, it was a saliva and hair analysis test through Creating Balanced Health, and that's what I use with my clients, because
Okay.
I can do that with New York State. So you do a hair and saliva test, you send it out, and within about 3 to 4 weeks, you get results back and it does like a full breakdown of hormone imbalances, food intolerances or sensitivities, all of your systems. It'll kind of go over those and what ones are stressed,
Hmm.
resonating toxins, as well as any nutritional or mineral deficiencies. And then also they do a remedy plan as to like what remedies resonated well with your body and what you need.
Wow.
So that's what I use with my clients. And that's what I did initially when I was kind of searching things out. And the
Hmm.
price point was perfect too. So it was the least expensive thing I did out of them all, but it's not diagnostic. So it still didn't go anywhere. And then I worked with a health coach and she helped me get about 50% up the hill. And then I
Okay.
just kind of plateaued. So then I sought out the doctor in Albany who was referred to me by actually one of my patients' family members when we just got chatting. And 3 of her kids had it. So, and they went there. So then I went there and they got me over the rest of it. So
Okay.
yeah.
So from that lab work,
Mhm.
so there was blood work, and then can you say the name of that lab again? I'm not familiar with that lab.
The
Creating Wellness,
Creating Balanced Health.
creating balanced health. Yeah, I'm not familiar with them. How did you find out about them?
Instagram, just
Okay.
perusing. I actually did a lot of, when I was really sick, I just ended up following a lot of people about different things. And then I ended up following my health coach, and she wasn't my health coach at the time. And
Hmm.
she was posting about it and how she was using it with her clients. And then I just went online and ordered it myself and did it myself. And then, like 6 months later, I ended up actually working with her to go over it and refine it a little bit more. So.
Okay. So when you got the results from them, do they give you like an analysis of everything, or did you have to go through some sort of training to be able to interpret it and understand what you needed to do from like a protocol perspective?
Well, as a client initially, you just got your scan results, but you don't get your resonating toxin list. They don't hand those out,
Okay.
just because of the diagnostic issue there.
Right.
Um, but it's very comprehensive otherwise. And yeah, you get them as a client. You could just like do the hair and tissue analysis and then, or hair and saliva analysis, and then you get your results back and you can read them. But you do need someone to help you interpret them because
Yeah.
they're not straightforward. So that's what I do with the clients is I help interpret them. And then, yeah, but it's not too bad. And with the training for the company to become an affiliate, they have like a few videos that they have you watch to help you get the gist of it. And then
Okay.
they do have a certification course. Um, and if you wanted to learn more, and that's one of my ultimate goals, but I'm like I said, in school for my NP. So one thing at a time, but
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, I'm with you on that. I feel
yes.
like every day I'm finding out about something else that I want to learn. And then I
Yes.
remember I have a 2-year-old in a business.
Yes.
And like there's so many other things, but there's only so much time. And it's just
Yeah.
so tough. That was a conversation I was having today with somebody. They were like, "What courses have you done?" And I was like, "Not as many as I want to do."
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm honestly trying to navigate this for myself too, where I know I love hair tissue mineral analysis and I love
Hmm.
teaching it, but I know I mean, it's not a diagnostic test.
Hmm.
And I teach people to make sure to not act like it is too. And so I want to be able to take that next step when they need the next step, whether it's
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards really learning maybe like gut testing or Dutch
Cool.
testing or something like that. But I'm in the middle actually of a blood chemistry course too. But
Ooh.
anyway, so I just love hearing about these different
Yeah.
like certification programs and all of that. So
Yeah. That's a lot.
um yeah, so from these tests, the protocols,
Mhm.
what does like a typical protocol look like? Like what were you doing?
Herbals. So it's like tinctures, different,
Okay.
yeah, different supplements, a lot of tinctures because it's homeopathics. So there's like different herbals. There's homeopathics in there, and then there's
Okay.
what else is there? There's flower ones in there as well. And then
Okay.
if you have any parasites, they'll do like artemisia or oregano, things like that will pop up sometimes for some people. The one I'm
Yeah.
seeing in a lot is like one called Ultimate Rescue, and that's
Mm.
kind of like homeopathic Xanax in some ways. So it
Okay.
helps calm the nervous system down. So I did, when I did the test, I actually went through and I just followed whatever remedy they sent me. And then I found out after becoming an affiliate that that actually isn't necessarily the best idea or route to
Mm.
take. You actually should work on like drainage pathways and opening them up for at first and
Okay.
doing like a full month of detox and mainly on the
Sure.
drainage part before you add in the other stuff because it won't necessarily get you anywhere and you might even feel worse
Yeah.
because everything's just like swirling around in there. So
Right.
that's kind of what my experience was. And then when I put the health coach in the mix, she helped me kind of do that. So
Okay, that makes sense. That's
yeah.
similar to the way that Cellcore does things. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with Cellcore?
Yep. I'm a practitioner with them too. And I actually use
Yeah.
their products every day myself. And they're my
Yep.
favorite, I think, literally over everybody. I love
Yes.
their products. They are
Yes.
so good and effective.
They're very effective. They're very
Yes.
potent.
They are very potent. And that's what
Like,
I personally like because I'm like, it gets the job done versus some people don't really like it because they are potent and they are strong. So some people don't enjoy that, I guess, or they're not as tolerant of it, maybe. I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah, everyone's different. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So are you having to continue protocol for Lyme? Like, is it kind
Yes.
of an ongoing thing?
Yep. So it's a chronic infection when
Yeah.
if it goes too long in your body without being caught, it does
Mm-hmm.
become a chronic infection. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So I do a buttload of random stuff every day for it. And
Mm-hmm.
if I lay off on one of those things, within at least like 2 to 4 days, I start feeling it and it's just
Mm,
all comes right back. So I do have to stay on top of it for sure.
okay.
Yeah.
So, you had mentioned possibly doing, like, you did mold testing too when you
Yes.
were testing. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience? Like, what kind of mold test you had done?
Yeah, so I lived in an apartment. When I got bit by the tick, I was living in this other apartment, and I didn't know at the time. I kind of suspected there was mold in there. It didn't bother me at first, but then I got bit by the tick, and then I started getting sick from that. And then, long story short, fast forward to the end, I was throwing up 30 to 40 times a day, but only 15 to 20 times in the morning and 15 to 20 times at night. And it was like little tiny bits at a time. It was
Oh my
ridiculous. And
gosh.
I thought something was really wrong, obviously, because I was like, I
Yeah.
don't understand. So I left and I went to my parents' house and slept on their couch because I was just kind of scared, honestly. And after 8 days of being on their couch, it all stopped. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm getting better. So I went back to the apartment, and within 45 minutes, I started throwing up again, which that's what triggered my mind to think, okay, it's something in this apartment. And then I started thinking about like what things it could be. And then somewhere I read about mold and I was like, I wonder if that could be it. So I looked up the symptoms of it and I had all of them. So then I just went to Lowe's and got a petri dish that you can test and run a little sample. I let that sit and it came back very, very growth positive. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so I left that apartment, but I was still sick with everything. And then my health coach was working underneath a nurse prac or an ND, I think, out in California,
Mm-hmm.
and they did Great Plains Laboratory
Mm-hmm.
mold testing, and I
The
was able to do.
mycotox.
Yeah, yep, that's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
And so what did that show you? I've actually never done one of those and I'm not really familiar with those. So what came up on that, I guess?
Yeah. So two strains. So it does like I think it does a PCR test on your urine and to see like what mold strains come back positive. And two of them came back positive. But the one that was most notable, it started with an O, and I can't remember at the top of my head right now at this moment. But that one was going after like main organs like kidney and liver and stuff like that.
Mm,
So, and then there was another one in there that was more neurological related. So it didn't make sense with the symptoms I was
mm.
having. So yeah.
And so were you able to go on specific supplements to help that as well, or is that where you got into cell core?
I was already doing the cell core mainly for
Okay.
the Lyme part, and then I just kind of mixed it up a little bit, and I got Jill, I can't think of her last name. It's Breaking the Mold, that book. Um,
Yeah.
yep. So I actually just started following those recommendations more so and doing detox with the baths, and I did like a cup of Epsom salt, cup of baking soda, half a cup of apple cider vinegar, and I would take detox baths like that.
Mm,
And I was trying dry brushing and sweating and yoga and just like moving my lymph and doing literally anything I could and drinking tons of water, taking
yeah.
binders. So just kind of did all of that together.
Yeah. So how long did that take you to kind of work through? Are
That's
you
a good
still struggling
question.
with that?
I don't know. So that's the hard part. A lot of the symptoms overlap with Lyme, so I honestly can't
Yeah.
tell the difference between them because they go hand in hand.
Mm,
So, and a lot of people can handle moldy environments, but then as soon as you get Lyme, you can't anymore. And I think
mm.
that's really what happened in my case. I was fine in that apartment until I got Lyme. And then that's when the mold started being more of the toxic issue because my
Okay.
body couldn't handle both at the same time. So,
Yeah.
so
It's
I
kind of
think
that
it's,
immune system bucket
yeah,
overflow that
yes,
everybody talks
exactly.
about. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh my goodness. Well, it's all very interesting, and I'm just so sorry that you've had to go through all of this, but it seems like it's fueled you and like
oh,
that you've
definitely.
really found like your passion through it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It's given me more than it's taken away. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I do appreciate it.
When I wanted to go back to what you're saying about Lyme and that that there was blood work done.
Yes.
Were there any specific markers that they were looking for on the
Hmm.
from the blood work? Do you know
Yeah.
what those are?
Yep, the Western blot mainly, and they did
Okay.
2 or 3 different Western blots. They sent them to 2 or 3 different labs across the country,
Mm,
because Western blots can be not accurate, very accurate, because they're an indirect test. So it's not necessarily looking for the bacteria in your or the parasites in your body necessarily. It's looking for your immune system's response to that. And I have a friend who also has Lyme, and she was completely had no markers pop up on her Western blot until a doctor looked at her symptoms and empirically treated her for Lyme based on her symptoms. And
mm,
then after 6 months of getting treated for Lyme, she came up CDC positive, which means you have to have at least 5 markers.
yeah.
So that was the thing with her case, is like people can have it, but not necessarily test positive. And those Western blots can come back negative multiple times before someone actually gets a positive on it.
Wow. So the symptoms are really important
Oh,
too.
yeah.
You
Yes.
can't just rely, obviously. I feel like that's the case with a lot of um, labs. Like you
Hmm.
can't rely on it solely. We have
Hmm.
to be looking at the symptoms too, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's always a variability, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So is the Western blot something that like a standard medical doctor would test for, or is that something that you have to ask for?
They can order it. The issue I ran into with my primary is that they ordered it, and then what would come back is like unequivocal, and that means like not enough to say it's positive, not enough to say it's negative. And then that's as far as it would go. They never gave me the actual markers as to which ones came back positive, which really bothered me because each marker actually means a different strain.
Mm,
So that's why the doctor I went to, like, they sent it to different labs, and then on different labs, different markers popped up positive.
mm,
And then they put the picture together that way. So, yeah,
wow.
so it's very interesting, and it's not, that's why it's a rough one because it's helpful, but it's not necessarily straightforward.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite books or resources or even people on Instagram that you highly recommend for following for if somebody thinks that they're struggling with Lyme and they haven't quite gotten through all the testing?
Yeah, I think a couple is Lisa. I'm trying to think of her, my health coach. She was Lisa Kipkar. It's Cipkar. I think it used to be Lisa the Lyme coach. That used to be her Instagram name. I
Oh,
forget
that's
what it
pretty
is now.
good.
Yeah,
I don't know why she changed that. That's
I
like
know. I
so
actually
good.
really liked it. So, but I think it's like Lisa. I think it's her name. It's like Lisa Kipkar underscore IHP or something like that now.
Okay.
And then Two Purple Carrots is another one that I really like. Um, who else? There's a bunch of them. There's Dr. I'm trying to think of his name. He's for mold mainly. I can't think of his name for some reason off the top of my head, but
Okay.
yeah, there's a few different ones, but those are my 2 favorite, I would say, out of everybody.
Okay. So you said that your health coach is also an IHP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Very good.
hmm
Um, so yeah, I mean, I feel like we've gone over so much. Was there anything else you wanted to share
No,
today?
I don't
No?
think so. No. Yeah, you did great.
Oh, thanks. I just have so many questions. Like, I'm trying to think if there was anything that I missed. Just because I love, like, it's so nice that you were willing to chat with me. Are you able to tell me any more about the IHP program? I
Yeah.
really am curious. So the level one program, did you
Yeah.
feel like that was a deeper dive than what you got at IIN?
Oh, definitely. It more so
Okay.
went into the science of things, which was what I was looking for because I am a nerd and I love that stuff. I do love the holistic side of things too, that IAN provided.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful at the time when I was working as a case manager with people in their homes one on one. And I felt like I already had a lot of the science stuff going on, and that kind of added that like personal connection balance.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of left me wanting more, which is great. So it was a great base to start from. And then level one dove into like hormones and your stress and cortisol and like all sorts of nervous system stuff,
Hmm.
which even right now in my pathophysiology class for NP, I'm actually going back and watching those videos from level 1 because he
Oh,
does such
wow.
a phenomenal job at explaining the nervous system and how it functions and how everything interacts in a practical way that you can actually walk away and like help somebody.
Mm.
So I'd say even better than my professor. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it definitely provided a lot more than like I'd say sciencey type stuff. And
Okay.
he's just very straightforward, and I really like that. And then at the end of
Mm.
it, provided some business guidance as well, which was really appreciated too. I took a year to go through it, but you can go through it in 6 months if you wanted to. It was just my personal preference because I had a lot going on. So I
Hmm.
just took a year to do it, and I'm probably going to take another year to do level 2 too, just because I nibble at it kind of thing. I'm not a rusher.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right, right. How many like hours per week would you say it takes you, or like
Yeah.
how often do you sit down to do it?
6 to 8 hours a week, I'd say, on
Okay.
average was about for level 1. Level 2, I'd say it probably is about the same too. I started listening to the lectures while driving for level 2, so
Hmm.
that kind of like blurs my time frame on
Yeah.
things. But yeah, so
Yeah.
it does, it's probably like 6 to 8 hours a week. It's not too bad. It's doable.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so is it all online where
Hmm.
you don't have to go anywhere for like any conferences or
Yeah.
like workshop weekends or anything like that? That's
Yep, it's
cool.
all online. And you can also, one thing I also like about it versus the IN program is IN closed down after your graduation date. You can't go back and access those education records anymore. So you can't
Oh.
watch the videos, you can't get the printouts and the handouts and stuff like that. And then with IHP, you can. You have like lifelong access to it. So once you pay for it, it's open to you. And once you go through it, you can go
Hmm.
back and you can search, like put in keywords, and it'll actually bring up the modules that might have those keywords in them, which is really helpful for me because sometimes I'm like, oh, I think I learned about this. And then I'll just go in and try to find it and I can watch it again because you never catch everything. Nobody can remember everything when they
Yeah.
watch it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's a lot of good resources. Are there like live Zoom calls or anything that you can jump on where,
Yeah.
or is it all like webinars that you're going to be watching? I'm sorry if you can hear the plane going overhead. We live in Virginia Beach where there's like
Oh,
jets going over constantly.
that's fun. That's like a dream. I like
Oh,
it.
I mean, they're so loud. It's like unbelievable.
I didn't
So
even
sorry.
hear it. No,
Okay,
you're
good.
yeah. Yeah, it's mostly videos though. I'd say
Okay.
all of it. They do have like Facebook stuff and they do lives there and I hopped on there once in a while when I can.
Yeah,
But mostly it's just like recordings and they go through the
sure.
slides and stuff. So,
And is it all taught by Stephen Cabral?
yep. Yep.
Okay. I need to figure out where he gets all of his time because his podcast, he like releases a new podcast every single day.
I know.
I'm like, how do you do how do you do that? It doesn't make
I
any sense.
don't know how he does everything because I'm like, I look at his business in general and I'm just like, how? Like, I'm running
I
my tiny little guy and I'm like, I'm full.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. But I kind of recently discovered him and
Oh,
I've been really enjoying his podcast. I was listening to one about HTMA for children
yeah.
that I ended up sharing with my community. And he did like a case study, and I was like, wow, there needs to be more stuff like this. Like, and then I was seeing the other like titles of his
Mhm.
podcast, and I was like, okay, he is covering so much information. I feel like you could get an entire education if you just listen to his podcast.
Honestly,
So,
he really could. And he has two
yeah.
different podcasts too. He has, I think, the Stephen Cabral concept, and
Uh-huh.
then there's another one for health coaching that he does.
Oh, wow. Like for more of like the business side or
Yes.
okay,
Yep.
interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a whole different can of worms for
It
sure, the whole
is.
business side of this.
Yeah, that one's new, I think,
So,
as of this year or the end
okay.
of last year type thing. So,
Okay. Awesome.
yeah.
Well, I thank you so much again for talking with me. It
Yeah.
was so great to just get to know you better, and I'm sure we will be in touch moving
Yes.
forward. But I hope you have a great night, and thank you again.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this time. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All righty. Take
All right.
care.
Bye.
Bye.